Good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy to see all of your smiling faces back as we come back to school this academic school year. I want to just do a quick check-in with you. How are you feeling? How has it been since we last seen you in March?
It's been good. I've gotten some well-needed rest, and I'm just trying to wrap my mind around this new normal.
Okay.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous about coming back.
I think we all are. I think that's going to be the biggest thing.
I'm going to agree with Ms. Nisley and Ms. Richards. Gotten some much needed rest, but also nervous about the unknown of the unknown.
Same. And I'm just gonna add, I am happy to see everybody's face.
Okay, I think that's good. We're going to work and be here as a team and get through this challenging time. So, as we move forward for this PLC today, this is going to be our first virtual. If I could have someone be my timekeeper and someone that can volunteer for feedback. So,
I'll be the timekeeper.
thank you, Ms. Jackson.
And I will offer feedback.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Harrison. That is awesome. Again, someone can just put that down in the chat for me. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Richards has already began typing that down in. We're going to dive right in today to 5.2A, and we're going to do lesson A, which is going to be on our concrete model. So 5.2A, I will represent the value of the digit in decimals through the thousandths using expanded notation and numerals. Now, I'm going to hold up my sheet, and I've done a little pre-work, so it's writing all over it. Does everyone have a copy from our PowerPoint review with you today? Yes. Thank you. So I'm just going to go over the questions, and we'll just fill it out and just do some popcorn out and just discuss. So Ms. Nisley, if you can take me to slide 7, we're going to dive right into the first I do. Okay. And I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to digest and look at it, and then we have some notes at the bottom that's also for review. Thank you. So looking at our problem and went over our notes, what do you think some of the key components of the goal of the lesson will be?
I think that one of them is understanding that we're going to be working with the thousandths place. I know that kids have had experience working with decimals in 4th grade, but the thousandths is something that's new for them. So that's something we have to stamp.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say they have to be able to identify what expanded notation looks like. And also what would standard form look like as well.
I would say also to recognize that there's a pattern that as the students move to the left in the place value chart, that the values are increasing, and as they move to the right, the values are decreasing.
Okay, thank you. So when we're going into this lesson in that second box, what questions should we ask to be aligned to the text for this lesson?
I think that you have to ask them, like, what is the value of a specific digit? And then also asking them questions when there's not a place value present.
So using that 0 as a placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Maybe what's the difference, or like how are decimals significant as it relates to the whole?
Mm-hmm.
And I might have, as an advancing question, kind of in the back of my mind, once I've gone through one of the problems throughout the lesson, I might, ask, how will the standard form of this number change if I move this digit that's in the 10th place to another place?
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. And moving. So what should the annotation and laps look like for these word problems? How does it connect to your teacher exemplar? And what should your explicit strategies look like when doing these I-dos?
One, I think that the students should have a place value chart, and those places should be labeled
Mhm.
with the value of the place.
I think before we do that, though, we want to make sure that we're reading and annotating following that strategy that we use on campus.
And then what are some possible misconceptions that the students might have? How will you prepare for those misconceptions?
Ms. Smith, can I go back, sorry, to one more? I think one more thing that we should do that's important for students is writing the value next to, writing the value in standard form next to its expanded notation.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, what was your next question? Sorry.
Okay, so we added that, and then I'm going to just move to that fourth box about those misconceptions. So what are some possible misconceptions, and then how are you as the teacher going to prepare for those misconceptions?
I think a possible misconception is that students, before they get to 5th grade, in the lower grades, they're introduced to expanded form as opposed to expanded notation. And so being prepared to use that strength that I know that, 123 is 100 plus 20 plus 3, to then build a bridge to expanded notation, which introduces, the use of multiplication and the place value,
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Also, I think another misconception would be if there is a missing place value, students not writing the 0 as the placeholder in that missing place value. So that would be a misconception as well.
It's going to be a big one.
I think sometimes kids can get messed up if they're going to add them all together, not lining up those digits correctly. So just making sure that you try to always use a place value chart so that the kids can line up those digits as best as possible.
And to add to that, with the digits, make sure if they're having to add, they know that they need to bring the decimal down, that it's still a decimal, not to lose the decimal.
Okay, and what should the students master by the end of this lesson? How will they show you? What are you looking for from the students for mastery?
Essentially, if they can represent, depending on if the number is given to them in expanded notation or standard, that they can represent the decimal up to thousands in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm. Adding on to what Ms. Richards said, also understanding what the value of a specific digit is. So understanding that if I have, excuse me, a 5 in the ones place, that's its value is 5, or if I have a 5 in the hundreds place, that value is 500. And so like Ms. Jackson said, that's one of the things that kids are already strong at in regards to whole numbers, but just stamping that for your decimals as well.
Okay, so we're going to take about 3 minutes, and we're going to go on each I do. There are going to be 2 I do's presented for this lesson. Ms. Nicely, if you'll take the first I do and get 3 minutes on the timer. And if you'll just go ahead now, I'll turn it over to you. Go live.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put this in presenter mode. All right. Okay. So, good morning, boys and girls. Today, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first I do for 5-2A. So I'm going to go ahead and read that to you guys. It says, Austin used these clues to describe his mystery number. One digit has a value of 8 times 10. One digit has a value of 9 times 100. One digit has a value, hang on, sorry. Let's do that again. One digit has a value of 8 times 10. One digit has a value of 9 times 1/10. One digit has a value of 2 times 100. What is Austin's mystery number written in standard form? Okay, so I see that I have 3 clues that I'm gonna consider when I'm writing my mystery number. So I'm gonna go ahead and underline each of those key parts of the clues. So I'm gonna underline 8 times 10, 9 times 1/10, and 2 times 100. Then it says, what is Austin's mystery number written in standard form? And I'm gonna circle that because standard form means that I'm writing a number using its digits, okay? So as you guys can see, I have a place value chart here, and I'm gonna make sure that I label my place value chart. I'm gonna start with the digits that are to the left of the decimal. Those are my whole numbers. So this, as we know, is our ones place. Instead of writing the word 1, I'm gonna go ahead and write the value 1. We know to the left of that is the tens place. So I'm gonna go ahead and write the value 10. Now I'm gonna move to the right of my decimal, and to the right of my decimal is my values that are less than 1. So those are my parts or my pieces. So immediately to the right of my decimal is my tenths place. So I'm gonna go ahead and write 1/10. To the right of that is my hundredths place. And then to the right of that is going to be my thousandths place. I'm gonna go ahead and write those. Trying to squeeze it all in so you guys can see. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at our first clue. It says that it has the value of 8 times 10. Well, I know that 8 times 10 is 80, and I'm also going to put that 8 in my tens place. That's not pretty. We'll try it again. There we go. That's better. Now, I don't have any clues for my ones place. So in that spot, in my place value chart, I'm gonna go ahead and write a 0, which is a placeholder. And I'm gonna put my decimal here. Now, I'm gonna look at my second clue. My second clue says that it has a value of 9 times 1/10. 9 times 1/10 is going to be 9/10. So I'm gonna go ahead and write a 9 in the tenths place on my place value chart. And my last clue says that it has a digit with a value of 2 times 100. So 2 times 100 is 200. So I'm gonna put 2 in the hundredths place on my place value chart. So my number written in standard form is 80 and 92 hundredths. And so we need to make sure that we record our answer using our griddable. And sometimes you can use your place value chart to help you with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and start in my tens place, and I would record just like so. And then of course I would bubble. Don't forget to bubble. minute, I'm trying to bubble. Don't mind my ugly bubbles. All right, there you go.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nicely. You did a wonderful job. I'll turn it over to Ms. Harrison. If you, we're gonna put about 2 minutes on the clock for our feedback. Okay, Ms. Nicely.
All right, so Ms. Nicely, as you were presenting your lesson, I can appreciate and I like the fact that you use your academic vocabulary. Within the lesson, you really punched that vocabulary with being explicit in terms of what the meaning of the standard form meant, so the students would have no misconceptions in terms of how they were supposed to write the actual number. And as far as my upgrade, I would have liked to have seen, although you said that the value of 8 times 10 is 80. I would have liked to have seen that you actually wrote the value of each of those expressions next to the expression in your clues.
Okay, so like right here, put an 80 here.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
I can do that.
Yes. And also that you had that place value chart. You include your place value chart and you referred it back to those values as well. So that was another praise. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to echo what Ms. Harrison said. I noticed that as you were reading aloud the problem, you made a mistake when you were articulating the 9 times 1/10, and you initially said 9 times 100. I think that's a kind of an underrated soft skill that we're always trying to encourage students to be okay with making mistakes. So you approached it and handled it super calm, and that's such a great example for students. My upgrade, I have a wondering about the use of the decimals all the way across in your labeling. And so leaving it there is fine. I would just be maybe mindful of students who might then come down and write that 9 and stick another decimal next to it. So maybe kind of punch, hey, there's only 1 decimal in play, even though in my labeling I used it several times.
Okay. Okay, I can do that.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Nicely. We're going to move forward and put 3 minutes on the timers and allow Ms. Richards to model the second I do for this lesson.
All right. Good morning, guys. I'm so happy to see you all in our Zoom room. And I'm going to go ahead and begin with our I do. The length in inches of the world's smallest cat, Tinker Toy, is shown in expanded notation. 2 times 1 plus 7 times 0 and 1/10 plus 5 times 0 and 100 plus 9 times 0 and 1,000. How many inches long is Tinker Toy expressed in standard form? So now that I've read through the problem, I want to go back and underline 2 key words. First keyword is expanded notation. My next keyword is standard form. This is the question. So it's telling me that I need to solve for the total in this standard form. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back into my expanded notation and multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. 7 times 1/10 is 7/10. 5 times 100 is 5. Oh, uh-oh. Let me go back. Sorry, boys and girls. That is 5. Oh my gosh. Give me 1 second. Okay. Which would be 5 hundredths plus 9 thousandths. Now, it asks for my expanded notation in standard form. So now I'm just going to add. I have my 2. I have 7/10. I have 0 and 500ths. And then I have 0 and 9 thousandths. I'm going to line them up with my decimal. I will line them up, draw it down. I'm adding. Then I'm just going to add all the way down. So I have my 9, bring it down. 5 plus 0, 5. 7 plus 0 plus 0, 7. I bring my decimal down, and then I bring down my 2. So my decimal written in expanded notation in standard form is 2 and 759 thousandths. That's it. Scene.
Thank you so much, Ms. Richards. We're going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and we'll just provide that praise and polish for you.
All right, Ms. Richards, thank you for that. For praise, thank you for underlining or doing your notations in terms of the academic vocabulary, pulling out that academic vocabulary of expanded notation and of standard form. In terms of an upgrade, I know you said keywords, but let's try to use the vocabulary of the words academic vocabulary versus the keywords when talking about that or identifying that, and be more explicit and define what that vocabulary actually means. So in standard form, instead of just adding it up, it would be more or less, this is taking the expanded notation and writing it in digits. So be more explicit with your vocabulary.
Thank you, Ms. Richards, for I love being in your Zoom room. You bringing that Zoom energy. It's hard to be out away from our students, so I just want to give you a lot of praise for that. Again, I'm going to echo what Ms. Harrison said, the annotations. I really appreciate it. I liked how you articulated, or I appreciated your articulation of, for example, 7 times 1/10, and how you, as you were doing it, you were looping it, because that's probably what we would do on a whiteboard in front of our kids, pointing it out. And so I appreciated you doing that on this, in this virtual setting. I'm going to echo the precision of the academic vocabulary, and maybe introducing some directional words when you're talking about the placement, either to the left of the decimal or to the right of the decimal. Otherwise, awesome.
Thank you.
One more upgrade I'd like to add, just for those students who may need more scaffolding, I'll provide them a place value chart, although you did add up each of the values of each expression, to go ahead and connect that to a place value chart so that they would have more of a scaffolding, then they can actually see where those values go in terms of putting it into the standard form.
Yeah, I like that Ms. Richards did that. I'm sorry, Ms. Richards, I didn't mean to cut you off, where you added them up and you drew that line down the decimals. I think that that's something that I'm going to add to my lesson too.
Yeah, and same from Ms. Nisley's feedback. I want to upgrade and add, to your point, Ms. Harrison, with your feedback, the place value chart, but then actual, like when I added up the total, so just move. So if this was a place value chart, actually have myself model and have them transfer. so that all of this would then translate, and then they could see the relationship, and then it would already be labeled in that. So yeah, I definitely want to incorporate that.
Okay, thank you both, Ms. Nicely and Ms. Richards, for modeling the I do portion of your lessons for the next upcoming week. Can you tell me what day are we going to be doing 5.2A?
Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I think it's on Tuesday.
Okay, so I've looked at your schedules. I see Ms. Nicely between 9:05, 9:10, you'll be modeling your I do, and Ms. Richards between 10:15, 10:20. So I'll just be popping into your virtual classrooms just to view the instruction as a follow-up from today's planning. Do we have any other questions, comments, or concerns today about our session, about planning? Well, I want to thank you ladies so much for your time, your energy, and engagement on today's lesson planning. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Y'all have a good day.